All right, so this is Ecolicious Report, and our goal is to reach these goals by moving on to step 7 of the report. And step 7 is describe issues or actions that maybe have caused errors or have caused your data to not be so dependable. Maybe you don't feel like you can trust the data as well as you'd like because maybe something happened. Maybe someone did something to it. Maybe you lost something. Let's look at some of the reasons why there might be error in our experiment. And errors are always existing. You may realize that there's some errors I haven't thought about, but here's some common ones that you may have experienced. Here's some different examples, right? The goal is to provide opinions or observations on the design of the experiment. So think critically, think deeply about how the experiment was designed. Were there any issues or problems that you noticed that could have complicated our results? Is there anything that could have happened that made us feel like the results don't really answer the question or the problem? How do humans affect the environment? Is there something we did that doesn't make us so confident about saying, yes, we know this causes an effect, or no, it doesn't? Here's some examples of things that could be causing complications or problems and make our data less dependable. Maybe we didn't use the permanent marker to identify the team cups. Maybe sometimes we forgot which cup was number 1 or number 2, or which cup received the independent variable. Maybe someone forgot the team's methods, what the dosage was. So, if the team forgot how much of an independent variable to do or how often to do it each week during the experiment, we really can't depend on the experiment as well as we thought because we can't maybe remember how much we added of an independent variable or didn't. Because we weren't able to keep track of how much independent variable, it does make it harder for us to say how well our experiment was set up, and it makes it harder to say if the independent variable caused an effect on the environment or the plant growth. And if someone were ever to want to repeat our experiment and we can't tell them how we did it, or we forgot which cup was which, that happens. Mistakes happen, but we have to be honest and say, yeah, might have had an effect. Here's another example. Maybe we were unable to get data for a measurement day. Maybe we don't know as much information about how the plants responded because we just didn't get as much information or data each time we were trying to measure. Another example is maybe a cup 1 or 2 was lost or stolen, and then you've lost that data and you're unable to say particular information that would be valuable when deciding if the independent variable is harmful or impacts the environment. Another possibility is plant measurements weren't done the same way each time. Maybe different people tried harder to be more precise to get the best specific measurements. If some people were measuring and didn't try to measure using the same techniques or to try to be so precise, our plant height averages might be off, and we may not know the full extent of how well the plant's growth was changed by the independent variable. Lastly, another option might be that the other cups may have affected your eco-cups. Maybe how we had all the eco-cups set up, maybe one affected yours even though you weren't trying to use their independent variable. So if any of these ring a bell, that'd be great. Or perhaps you could think of a new, unplanned variable that could be causing the effects. It's possible that the plants are growing the way they are, not really because of our independent variable, but something that we haven't even thought of, something we haven't controlled. If you think the plants grew a certain way, not because of the independent variable, but something else in our experiment we didn't pay attention to, you can also say that here, and this would be a great opportunity for that. Here, if you say anything about any possible error or any issues, it's not bad, it's being honest, and it's making it clear that you're really thinking detailed about the quality of our experiment and the quality of your team and their efforts. Saying that there might be experimental error is a strong thing, not a bad thing. So, now that we've covered some reasons why the data may be less dependable or the data may have some errors in it, I'm going to reflect on some issues maybe I thought happened for data that I'm using. So, I have my data here, and day 4 is a strange day. It says that the plants on day 4 for EcoCup 2 went from an average of 5 centimeters tall way up to 20 centimeters on average tall, and then the next day went back down to 10. I don't know how a plant grows up to 20 and then shrinks. That's not really the way the plants work. So I'm thinking some error for us and my team when I was looking at this data is it's probably measured incorrectly, or maybe we put bad data in for day 4. So that's how I'm going to approach day 4 for me and my team. And you can kind of see it in the graph. It says EcoCup 2 grew and then shrunk. It's like the plant shouldn't be doing that. I don't understand how the results could end up this way. So I'm going to assume that's error. I'm going to assume the measurements were done poorly. So right here in my response, it appears day 5, the measurements for at least EcoCup 2 appear incorrect. The data doesn't follow the growth of the grass as seems normal or reasonable. Therefore, if we were to use day 5 data, we may make errors and not and let's see here, and basically accidentally assume the independent variable had a big effect on growth when it was likely due to bad measurements or a simple mistake in the data. The best decision would be to probably remove the data from day 5. I don't think we can depend on this data to make supportable conclusions. All right. Your choices might not be bad measurements. Maybe your choice would be that the cups were mislabeled, or we forgot methods, or maybe you have a hard time identifying maybe possible experimental error. It's up to the team and you to decide. And if you're the individual who ended up accepting the task of completing this part of it, make sure that you go over and you think really deeply. Make sure you think really deeply about these different examples of what might cause experimental error. And make sure you read some of these other questions that help you think about what might cause errors or a lack of dependability in the results. Again, you want to feel confident that the data proves or supports hypotheses. And if the data can't be trusted, you really can't say if a hypothesis is supported or not. All right, good luck.